Shahab Ahmed, Deputy CEO of the Kuwait Oil Tanker Company. We were having a very interesting discussion just now, which we saw on the panel, about the future of driving growth across maritime oil and gas, offshore structures and boats. Talk to me about, where is the problem? Is it offshore or onshore? Are we still undecided?
Actually, the problem, ground zero, is in Bonn, Germany today, because the United Nations Framework Convention on climate change is taking place. The discussion is there. The shipping ambition, or what we say, the 1.5 degrees centigrade ambition, which is the shipping action plan, was on the 13th of this month, which is day before yesterday. And the action plan that they come up with is really interesting, and there is a very strong feedback we are getting from the audience, from the groups that have worked during the discussion. Now, the other side of the problem is onshore, offshore. And what's happening here, there is a growing awareness of the environmental issues. So the individual, the administrations, then the country, then the region, coming together to put targets to mitigate all those environmental issues that are coming up in the industry. Now, the shipping is sort of an isolation, what we call is the black sheep of industries, yeah? It's always like left behind. Like in the Paris Agreement, COP21, the regulation of shipping was left out, it wasn't there. So come to COP22 Marrakesh, IMO have moved very fast and aggressive, and COP23, you can see what I mentioned just before, is the 1.5 degrees centigrade ambition, shipping action plan. Now, what is happening here is since it became aware to the onshore side that we can know what's happening on board the fleet, digital transformation started to happen. And therefore they wanted more data. They wanted to know what's going on the ship, yeah? It's like your iPhone. Are you going to use it just to dial up and the call, or are you going to use it for all the other tasks? And that's what's happening today. And what's happening today, there is a huge amount of data from ships coming to the ship operators, the individuals, where they can see where is the ship, what is it doing, what alarms are there, and then for him to take immediate action, for him to correct whatever needed to be corrected, and then have the vessel to operate efficiently. As I mentioned earlier, what is the most efficient ship? The most efficient ship is the ship that can carry maximum cargo and consume the minimum fuel. Now, what is the least efficient ship? Is an empty ship sailing at sea.
Also, you had some very practical insight into onboard working conditions and how they impact, we'll say, on the efficiency but also the safety of the industry as a whole. Talk to us about how incidents and collisions can also be avoided with a long, hard look at how systems work within the industry.
Human technology interface. Now, if you are driving your car, and then you need an indication on your dashboard that things are not going right, yeah? So your oil pressure is low, your pressure is low, or for example, your fuel tank is emptying. You don't want to be stranded midway somewhere in nowhere, yeah? And then call for somebody to help you, and then your phone doesn't work as well. So what is happening here is the human equipment or machine interface is growing. Now, what we're doing is more equipment, smart, that really gives a lot of data and information, warnings, and making the operator more aware into this area. Now, where you see incident, accident, the factor of the equipment are not sufficient and providing enough data and details for the individual to act accordingly, number one, or perhaps the individual, he makes the wrong actions. So why would he make the wrong actions? He's not aware and he doesn't know how to use the equipment, and he's not fit for that job over there, number one. Maybe he's exhausted, and that's mainly the situation. There he's been overworked, the rest and work hours have been really overrun, and therefore he did not have any sleep. And then you expect him to be in a situation where we call a traffic separation in the Straits of Malacca or Singapore or whatever, where you've got hundreds of ships going in all different directions, and for him to take the right action and for the equipment not to fail while he's doing so. So therefore, that is the challenge.
So reviews of standards from the top down, you're saying?
Indeed, yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you for interviewing me.